Okay, Mel, you kick it off. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. All right. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I know a few of you on here, so just for the benefit of those that I don't know, I'll just sort of go a bit about what we are, So welcome to Launchpad Startup Mornings. This usually takes place in a physical space in the library, in the Launchpad at Murdoch University. So the Launchpad is Murdoch's innovation space, and it's a space for, oh, I can hear my children now. It's a space for working with industry, reaching out to the wider entrepreneur startup community. We have a lot of student founders come in and they come and meet with Jeremy to discuss their business ideas. We run different workshops around industry, careers, around lean canvas and startups. And it's really just to sort of get that culture of innovation going within the university and to build our networks in the wider community. So how today is going to run, if everyone could put their speakers on silent, that would be great. I'll mute. I'm going to hand over to Matthew Evans in a minute, who's going to just say a quick few words. Has he got his microphone on now? Yeah, he can be ready in a minute. And then we're going to go over to Jeremy, who's going to introduce our two presenters for the day. So I just want to thank them in advance for coming. We've got Bret and David, and they're going to present their startups, have 6 minutes each. And after that 6 minutes, we open up to the audience and really just to sort of give some validation. If you've got any questions, suggestions, you might know somebody that they might want to link up to, or have some advice for them. So if you could put those questions in the Q&A, and then when it's time for that, we'll hop over to the questions. We'll come over to you, and you can help Jeremy will sort of facilitate that. So thanks everyone, hope you enjoy, and I'll pass you over to Matthew Evans now.
Oh, yes, and so for the Q&A, just you hit the chat button at the bottom, it'll open up a screen on the right hand side for those who are less familiar with Zoom, and you put those questions in as you're going. So presenters don't open up the chat button when you're presenting because it'll distract you. Again, thank you all for coming. I can see this is a different platform, and it may end up being an even more successful platform to use on occasion. We want to see and get feedback on whether this ultimately is effective for you all, and try to improve, because we might be sort of in this situation for a while, and it's very difficult for entrepreneurs at the moment in particular to be able to get out and network, and this is part of the new world, I guess, for at least the foreseeable future. Other than that, I'd just like to thank Mel and Jeremy for pulling this together, and I will pass to Jeremy. You're on mute, Jeremy.
There we go. That's better. I was just saying something really nice about you. What Matthew's forgotten to tell you is he's also the director at Murdoch University, and basically has allowed us the freedom and the flexibility to have something at Launchpad at Murdoch University. We're one of the few universities to actually have one, an entrepreneur residence like myself, and then someone like Mel that's running these entrepreneurship events for our students on campus, but also the community. So so thank you for that, Matthew. And look, we're quite positive about how things are going to shape up going forward, obviously using technology, where we want to have these startup mornings quite regularly to basically not just help Murdoch University students, but the wider startup community. And we have got some other big things coming, and we'll keep you in the loop with that. But let's get started in terms of startup morning, our first one online. Thank you all for joining. Just going to give you a quick rundown of the format. It's quite simple. So we basically have two founders that pitch for startup mornings. You get 6 minutes to pitch, and then we throw to some Q&A to people on the floor. And given the great mix of people we've got in the lobby here today, I think it's going to be really good discussion in terms of giving validation and feedback back to our founders. So that's the purpose of doing these pitches. Now, bear in mind, most of the time when founders come to the startup morning, event like this is it may be the first time they're presenting. So it takes a lot of courage to be able to do this, especially when you're pitching for the first time. So we'll be really gentle on you. But just keep that in mind when our founders are pitching that, sometimes it can be a bit, full on. So now let me introduce you to our two founders that are pitching this morning. So we've got Bret Treasure. Maybe you just want to raise your hand, Bret.
Hello.
I know we can see your name. Thanks for joining us. Who is the founder of Stake Something. Bret will be kicking us off this morning with his
co-founder.
Co-founder. And then David is also from, how you doing, David? Thanks for raising your hand. He's actually a Murdoch University student. And dare I say, pitching for the first time, David?
Yes, my first time.
Yep. Welcome. So, and then David will go after Bret. But so we'll kick off 6 minutes, and then I'll kick off with a couple of questions after the 6 minutes. But like Matthew says, if you could just add your questions as we go into the chat, I'll pick them up afterwards and get them across to the founders to answer. So without further ado, let's get started. I've got my little timer here, just to make sure everything's running on time. But I'd like to welcome Bret Treasure, co-founder of Stake Something. Bret, welcome.
Thank you very much.
You have 6 minutes and you have the floor.
Thank you. I'm going to talk about staking, but I want to start by talking about why I think staking is interesting. It's 1990. I'm sitting in a personal development program. A lady stands up and starts to share about the fact that she was abused as a child. And as she interacts with the course leader, it's clear that something's shifting in her understanding of herself. And there's lots of tears. And after that, she collects herself and she says this, that thing that happened to me, it's influenced my whole life. And I'm done with it. And as of now, I refuse to be defined by that event. And I thought, wow, you are not stuck with anything about the way you are. And it led me to a lifelong interest in transformational work. And in 2019, my partner and I uncovered something really interesting. And that's what I want to share. We've worked out that in the area of procrastination, you don't need to do a course. And you can trick yourself into behavioural change just using an app. And it'll cost you nothing or next to nothing to do that. So it's not true that you have no willpower in relation to chocolate. It's not true that you have insufficient staying power to learn a musical instrument. And it's not true that you can't discipline yourself to finish a university degree. And if I'm right about that, then you would have to contemplate a world in which people understand that they can all do anything. And that's the bigger picture here. In honour of that lady in 1990. So where does all this trick come from? It comes from academic experimental research into the area of how human beings make choices. And there's two findings here. One of them is that human beings overvalue the present in relation to the future. No surprises there. And the other one is that humans are very sensitive. We're much more sensitive to losing things that we've already got compared to striving for things that we haven't got. And if you've ever, given a 3-year-old kid a toy and tried to then take it away from them, you will have seen that in action. So those two things, those principles now proven in research, are the things that underlie the app. And here's how it goes. So imagine that you procrastinate about exercise and you would like to exercise 3 times a week. So you use the app and you put some money at stake, some of your own money, maybe, let's say $50. At the end of the week, if you've done your 3 times exercise, then you get your money back. It costs you nothing. And if you don't, the money goes to charity and Stake Something retains a fee. We've been prototyping this and over 700 weekly games have been played. And I'm going to give you the main takeout out of the research here. And that is that people are successful around 80% of the time in an area where by definition they've been stuck. I've been using this myself to study Spanish. If I don't study Spanish for 45 minutes every day, at the end of the week, I have to give $100 to charity. I'm now up to 373 days on the trot without missing a day. And I didn't know I had that in me. I've transformed from, into someone who's a reliable student. It hasn't cost me a cent. The threat of losing $100 has been enough. Now, there are 1.5 million higher education students around Australia. And according to the Grattan Institute, over 20% of those drop out every year. 50% of part-time students never complete their university degree. I've calculated the cost of that in loss of future earnings to higher ed at $5 billion a year. Now, what are the most commonly given reasons for people dropping out of university? Workload and study life balance, essentially the same thing, not putting enough hours into their study. So they're not putting enough time into their study. Now, some people have got, it's physically impossible for them to do the required number of hours in the week. But for the people who just don't prioritise their study time successfully, there's now an app for that. You might be thinking, well, students are very sensitive around money and they're not likely to want to risk losing any money. And that's probably true. But they don't have to stake money. They could also stake an action. If I don't do my study, then I'll clean up my room, or I'll write out 100 times, I'm a lazy bastard who's never going to get a job. All right? Now, does that work as well as staking money? No, it only works half as well. Still, 40% success rate, $5 billion, and I reckon I've worked out how to get it up over 60%. So we're obviously interested in talking to tertiary institutions about researching this. If anyone's got contacts at Murdoch who are interested to have that conversation, please introduce me. And if you want to try out the prototype, it's at stakesomething.com. Muchas gracias preguntarme lo que seas.
Well done. Thanks, Bret. Thanks very much for that.
You're welcome.
And you stuck to the 6 minutes, so well done. Well done. Well done. Okay, it's excellent with Zoom. We have these pre-populated questions, so that's good. So we'll throw to some of them, but I'll just kick it off. What stage are you at right now in the business? Obviously, you've been bootstrapping, I understand, maybe to date.
Yes.
So what stage in the startup are you at?
We've raised $120,000, and we're interested in raising a little bit more than that. Mm-hmm. So we're still doing that. We've had the prototype. We've written a functional specification, and we're about to build out the app.
Can I ask just quickly on that 120,000? Did you get that locally? Was that something?
Locally and in Victoria. My business partner's in Victoria.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic. All right. Well, let's throw to our Zoom chat. Thanks, Matthew, for kicking this off. Matthew's question is, how many people have been in your trials?
We've had about 70 people who've done it, on average for 10 weeks at a time.
And that 70 has created the 700 engagements?
Exactly.
Okay. All right. That makes sense. Another quick follow-up from Matthew. What is the minimum at stake amount?
0. If you want to stake an action, that costs you $0. That's the stake that says, if I don't do it, I'll go and weed my mum's garden for a week.
Okay.
Bethany's got about half as effective as staking with money.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Question from Bethany. Do we get to choose which charity our stakes go to?
It's not completely open slather. We'll have a prescribed list of charities. The payment gateways are a little uncomfortable with you giving the money to whoever you like.
Okay. Question from Mel. Mel asks, do you find that people cheat the system? Can they say they've done an activity when they haven't?
Yeah, it's really interesting, right? Because it's largely an honor system. What happens is, people can do that, and occasionally they will. But what happens is, the reason that this works is the threat of losing money. So as soon as you cheat, you demonstrate to yourself that there's no real threat. And when you do that, staking stops working. So you can do that, but you're not going to get what you came for, which is the behaviour change. You get to keep your money.
Okay. Actually, I saw Matthew, I think you had a bit of a comment, because your next question is around, instead of taking the amount of money from the user, could you reverse the model and have corporate support it, or even double the money given to certain charities? And Matthew, feel free to unmute as well in terms of if you had a comment. I know you had a bit of a comment to the previous.
Oh no, I think that's. I just see taking money. Okay, so I get the concept, and if people cheat, well, then they won't use the app anyway. They'll stop using it straight away because there's no value to it for them. What I guess I'm saying is, my thought process is, if I'm putting up money for charity, okay, and blow it, happy the money's gone to charity, that's great. The fact that that's what's paying you sort of like feels like, oh well, you're also sneaking a bit of money out of the money I've been given to charity. Meanwhile, corporates often will do a dollar for dollar basis to certain charities, and they could potentially support this as a way to actually help their giving as well. So I was just thinking that way you could really not only say, well, I didn't give arrange for $100 to go to Flying Doctors. I arranged for $200 to go to the Flying Doctors, and nothing else was taken. I just felt that was a better sell.
Yeah, there's no reason that corporates couldn't do that and kick in some money. What the research says is that that if it's your money, it works. So you've got to have something at stake. So the user has to have something at stake, or their behaviour won't change. But there's no reason corporates couldn't do something.
Oh, yeah, it was about where your money comes from to support your business.
Yes.
So I'm still saying, but it's a dollar for dollar basis. Often corporates will play that game. For every dollar that you give, they'll give $1 as well.
Yes.
And this could be another really good funding mechanism, because they already give a large amount to certain charities anyway.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. Yeah.
A way that they could.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Matthew. Mel's got a question around your ask. So, well, what are you asking from us and the wider community? I know you obviously want introductions to the university. I think that we can make that possible. But what's your ask? What do you need help with?
Well, we're still raising money, so if anyone would like to invest, then great. The minimum investment is $20,000. But really, we're looking for. We think the tertiary education sector is an important one for us. So we want to get started and do some testing with that and demonstrate in situ that this is effective in reducing dropout rates. So that's critical to us. And we're looking for introductions to coaches as well, because one of the channels we're going to use is through people who already are coaching. This is a tool that they can use. We'll white label it for them, and then they can make it available to their own clients under their own name. So yeah, anyone who's coaching is potentially of interest to us. Thanks for asking.
Thanks, Brett. Ben, you had a question. I'll get you to unmute and actually ask this one.
Yeah, sorry, I should put something around this. It was a variation of Matthew's question. It's sort of based on my personal feeling that I can stake against myself and I might feel bad about losing my own money, but if someone else had staked for me, like my auntie or something, or a family member, and I'd lose their money,
right?
I think I'd feel even worse about that.
You're probably right.
Yeah, and I just wanted to ask the question.
Auntie thing. Look, the thing that I will address as well, and Matthew kind of alluded to it, is some people are quite happy giving money to charity, in which case it's not a very strong incentive. It's like, well, I'll just have another hamburger and give my money to UNICEF, big deal. So we've got the option there of giving to an anti-charity. So if you want to, you can donate money to two rich guys who don't need the money, right? And that will work better for some people than giving to a good cause, which they're quite happy to give to.
All right,
Thanks. Thanks, Ben. That's Brett. The next question comes from Brian. Could you stake, going to a higher interest account that can't be touched? And will this be an app eventually? I'm assuming it's an app already. So, but yeah, could you stake going to a higher interest account that can't be touched?
Yeah, you can stake anything you want to, and then you'll do it or you won't. So no reason you can't construct complicated staking contracts. Yep, it's a good idea.
Okay. Next question comes from Kyle. Kyle, maybe I'll get you to unmute and ask this one, actually.
Is this all good?
Yep.
Beautiful. I was wondering, like you gave the example that you personally have a $100 stake for your Spanish learning. From the the trials that you got in already, was there a minimum stake amount that actually saw success rates increase or anything?
Good question. What we notice is that if you stake $5 or $10, you're somewhat less successful. So if you really do a token amount, it doesn't work as well.
Do you have any data about where that line is though, where it starts becoming quite successful?
Intuitively, I would say it's $20 or more. And we know that the average stake that people have created is $35.
Okay, cool.
Thanks, Carl. Next question comes from Bethany. Bethany, I'll get you to unmute and actually ask this one as well.
All right. How do you choose which charities the money is going to? And is there a process for Nfps and charities to sign up in exchange for advertising the platform to their stakeholders?
There's nothing in place at the moment. We're about to create that. Initially, we'll just choose charities.
Okay.
But going forward, we think that partnering with charities would be a sensible thing to do, and that they potentially might want to tell their user base that this exists as a new way of donating to charity. So yeah, I mean, in the future, we might collaborate with charities. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. Thanks.
Thanks, Bethany. If anyone else has got any more questions, throw into the chat. But I've got one. Brett, you didn't mention anything. Obviously, you're a co-founder, so I'm assuming you've got at least one other co-founder. What's your team setup? Well, who have you got helping you with this? And where are some of your gaps? Where do you need help in terms of a team?
Well, we're at the point where we need to put together a board of advisors, and we're particularly looking for a software advisor at the moment. And we want someone in the area of governance as well, because we're weak in that area. Finance and governance, we're weak. So those are the gaps that we need to fill straight away, I think.
Yep. No worries.
There's only two of us working on it at the moment.
Yeah. I know Ben's looking interested there. Ben's a freelance CTO from one of Perth's big development houses. So yeah, there you go. Anyway.
Okay.
All right. Well, if there's no more, yeah, thanks, Matthew, for the props up. That was a really good question.
Oh, no, the question about the taxable donation, I think, is really important because, and this comes back to the business model concept. Because if you can go to, you can sell this by going to somewhere like, okay, let's just pick a random large company, Woodside, and say you already give $1 million to XYZ charity. How would you like to turn that $1 million into $2 million for the cost of $10,000 of supporting me, or $20,000 of supporting me? And that means that 100% of what this person gives then is clearly going to the charity, and then you can provide them the tax receipt, which they can then use.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to work, because as I understand it, and we need to take some more advice in this area. But as I understand it, if it comes through us and we collect the money, then people can't get a tax deduction for it. So our customers will necessarily be donating smaller amounts of money, not larger amounts of money. We've got some more research to do in that, but there are some issues with the tax deductibility.
Okay. We'll throw to Brian. Brian, maybe you can unmute and ask this one. This is around the bank account.
Sure. Yep. Sorry, I just keep going back to this idea of possibly partnering with a bank. I know Commonwealth does do some kind of encouragement systems in place for savings accounts. They have a goal saver account where they give you penalties if you withdraw from that account, and you get some kind of interest benefits by leaving money in that account and adding your allotted amount monthly. So it would be interesting to kind of use that as even more of an interest building in the stake itself that people are putting forward.
I think there's definitely a role for that. There is a niche there for sure in helping people to save money. And we've been thinking about a couple of things in relation to banks and how we could liaise with that. And we'll see what happens with the open banking initiative as well. That would make things a bit easier. But yeah, definitely. I mean, it's not just study. This works for a lot of stuff. It works for saving money. It works for giving up things. It works for limiting your consumption of alcohol, exercise, meditation, yoga, whatever it is that you need to do regularly. There's an application using this software.
Are you actually based in Perth, or where are you based out of?
Yeah, I'm in Perth in Northbridge.
All right, there's a business that would be probably interested in this called Happiness Co.
Oh, okay.
You've heard of it? It's run by Julian Pace.
Oh, it might be someone else.
I know there are a couple other coaches based out of Perth, but specifically there's also a guy named Lachlan Samuel who runs a podcast called Open Up Group. Podcast called Open Up, but his mission is to fill one of the stadiums in Sydney. I don't know about now, but with men to kind of help them bring out the best in themselves and work with mental health and FIFO workers. So that might be something to look into as well, as to kind of work with him. He has a big audience, I know, on his podcast.
Nice. Thank you for that. I wrote that down.
Awesome. Thanks, Brian. And maybe we'll just finish off with the last question from Tracy. Thanks, Tracy. What's your proof of work mechanism? Is it trust or like honesty-based system?
It's trust. But I think that what's going to happen over time is we're going to build links into Apple Health and all those apps that are on your phone, so that we can track automatically what's happening, and the deductions will happen without you having to declare it. At the moment, it's a trust-based system, which is interesting in its own right.
Yeah.
Because people discover stuff about themselves. Oh, I'm prepared to lie to save myself $50, and that's more important to me than doing the exercise I promised I was going to do. Oh, that's interesting.
No, it is, Brett. Thank you.
Thanks, Brett. Thanks, Tracy. All right, we might just park it there. How do we do maybe everyone unmutes and we do a virtual clap, a round of applause for Bret Treasure. Everyone unmute. And Mel, you can maybe take a photo of it. Well done. Well done.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Brett. All right. Let's keep things moving along. I'd like to introduce you to David Vurudandi, who's got a program or a platform called lendme. Murdoch University student. Welcome, David. Give me 6 minutes. The floor is yours.
Sure. All right. Good morning, everyone. I'm David, and I am the founder of lendme. So a little bit about myself. I am currently a full-time student at Murdoch University, and I am studying a Bachelor of Global Security in Terrorism and Counterterrorism Studies. Right now, I am in second year and have one more year to go before I graduate. So what is lendme? So lendme is an online rental marketplace. It's available for anyone to use in Australia. And our goal is to rent almost anything within minutes. So the story about lendme, how did I come up with the idea? So I was like driving on my way home and I drove past a strip of businesses and the businesses were like Kennard's Hire, Coates Hire and Thrifty. I noticed that all of them had one thing in common, which was renting. So I thought to myself, what if there was a platform where tools, equipment, and like vehicles were all in one place? And what if this platform was not just for businesses, but for the people to lend their own items for rent? So that is how I came up with the idea of lendme. Basically a platform where you can rent and list items within minutes. So what made me pursue this idea? So I have a passion in helping people. I always want to see the best in people. I've noticed that people worked multiple jobs just to support themselves and their families, and sometimes their income wasn't enough. In 2016, there was about 15.6% of Australian people working multiple jobs. So through lendme, people can get a separate income by just renting out their items. It will just be like a minimal effort so that they won't have to put much work into it. So that is what made me pursue this idea. So how does lendme differentiate with similar companies? So there are about 3 similar online rental marketplaces. So what makes lendme different is our commission basis. So we charge less commission. We take about 15% of each rental booking. So the similar companies charge between 20 to 30% commission on each rental booking. So lendme basically gives a larger return to the lenders. And also another thing that makes us different is a guarantee. So I aim to provide a guarantee for up to $40,000 for each listing, which would be backed up by an insurance company. So lendme's aim. So we aim to combat 2 major problems in society, which is waste and financial hardship. So waste is basically the wasteful nature of consumerism in purchasing too much and not making use of the many tools and items we have in our possession. And the problem of financial hardship in our society, I've researched that about 20% of Australian households in 2016 had a weekly income of less than $650, which I don't think is enough for supporting themselves or their family in a weekly basis. So lendme's solution to waste. So to counteract the adverse effects of waste from consumerism, lendme will allow used goods to be listed so that others seeking them may be allowed to borrow it. This prevents like resources from being wasted from being from being wasted on an item that just sits around and collects dust in the corner of your house. And there's also like an incentive for this solution. So lenders, as they lend out their items, they will get paid as their items are getting borrowed by the renters. So another solution to financial hardship is that we aim to reduce the financial hardship of struggling Australian households. So the people who are in need of equipment or tools by us promoting renting. And borrowers have the incentive to use lendme as they will have to spend they will not have to spend a large amount of money on just one item. So how does lendme work? It's pretty simple. You search for an item by location, you review the listing, see if there's good reviews on it, see if the item is working and functioning well. And then from there on, you either contact the lender or you can use our booking system to lend it. So this is my business model and my validation of lendme. So there are various revenue streams. So our main revenue stream would be Google AdSense and commission fees that we charge to lenders and service fees that we charge to renters. There will be different listing packages. So in a different listing package, there'll be a choice of whether to boost your listing on top of other listings. Another one would be clients. So clients would be businesses in the renting market. Lead generation, providing leads to other companies, selling ad space and sponsored posts. So recently I did 2 surveys. One survey was for validation, which I received about 139 responses. 80% of the responses were positive and 90% of the people wanted to use lendme. And the other survey was our minimal viable product. So people wanted to use the website for electronics, home, office, and garden items, and cars and vehicles. So what I am looking for is funds, but at the moment I'm bootstrapping. So I'm just seeking to raise funds at the moment. I'm not sure how much funds I should raise because I do not know what the value of this company is yet, as it hasn't been released to the public. Another one that I'm looking for is a web developer. So currently my website is running through WordPress. It's not up to standard of what I want it to be. There's a lot of features on my website that aren't up to date, and I need specific systems to run this website that cannot be run by WordPress. And these systems will make this lendme safe and trustworthy to consumers. Thank you everyone for listening. Thank you.
Thanks very much, David. I'll get you to stop sharing and then we can bring everyone back into the lobby. Thanks everyone for pre-populating those questions as well. I might just kick it off and then I'll throw to the questions. So just to clarify, that's some good validation, by the way. So around your survey and then your second survey to get your MVP. What sort of, I mean, you can't be everything to everybody. So from your validation, what were the most important things? Was it those 3 things you mentioned? The cars, the garden items, and the home office? Correct me if I'm wrong, is that what you're focusing on?
Oh yes, at the moment that is what. Yeah,
so you're not going to be a ready place to, for everything. You've narrowed it down to do so, and that's going to be your MVP to launch, and that's what you need funds for, and you need a developer for. Okay, okay, no worries. Okay, and in terms of your differentiation from your competitors, is it just the 40,000 insurance guarantee and your commission?
Yes, those are the big things, because the guarantee gives trust and safety to our users. So therefore more users will come to us. Okay. And commission, of course, more return to the lenders and less for us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Probably my quick thoughts on that would be just be mindful that if your competitors, which are no doubt bigger than you right now, that they could easily, get that insurance thing on. They could increase it if they wanted to.
It's not easy.
It's not easy?
I've been doing it for a few months. It's pretty hard. Yeah.
Okay. And the other one was the commission. So, they might be able to run a greater commission for a short period just to make sure that you don't get any traction. So just keep that in mind anyway.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, let's throw to some questions. All right, Morgan. Morgan's got a question around what happens if someone breaks another person's item. Obviously, the insurance covers that, but is there an insurance aspect for other people's equipment? So how does the insurance work, basically?
So if an item is damaged, stolen, or lost, our guarantee will cover that cost for repair or for replacement. Yeah, that's basically how the guarantee would work. And there'll be agreement between the lender and renter. Obviously, check their background, their driver's license if they have one. Just collect all their information, and that's something that you could use against them if they steal it, for example. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm assuming there's an onboarding process for both the seller and the renter that collects this verification, if you want to call it, of their data. Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Tracy's question is it free? Is it free to join and free to place ads?
Yes, it's free to join and free to use.
Free to join, free to place ads. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tracy. Morgan had a second question. What's the minimum rent time for the items?
Minimum rent time would be 2 days for an item. Yeah, 2 days for an item at least. Yeah.
Okay. And how did you come up with that? What's the rationale?
I've looked at other companies, similar companies, so I'm just following their business model as well.
Okay, so for 48 hours.
Yeah.
Okay. Tracy had a follow-up question. Proposed rental agreements. Do you provide that, or do you allow the renter to upload their own?
The renter will upload their own.
The renter uploads their own. Okay. Bethany, I might get you to unmute and ask your question around the income.
Yeah, so my question was just about the income that the people lending items actually receive. Like, how is that calculated as an actual income, or is it just a hobby? And to what extent, because I know that Kyle brought up some things that was running in my head as well, like with the sole traders using it as a platform on the side to kind of dodge tax.
So it's more seen as a hobby, I'd say, because I don't think anyone would want to pay tax for that. But actually, I'm not too sure. I haven't really thought about that yet. Sorry about that. Don't know.
That's all right.
That's all right. Just take an action to find that out.
Yeah.
Betsy, do you want to just quickly follow up with those other questions you had there as well around the penalties and?
I was just wondering if the lender and borrower are able to negotiate time and cost after the contract has already started.
Yes. There'll be late fees and late returns for late fees. People can negotiate between themselves on how they want to do it. But we charge on behalf of the lender. So we charge on behalf of the lender. Yeah.
And if an item does get damaged and it's covered by insurance, is there any cost to the actual renter? Do they have to pay deposit?
The renter we recommend the renter to first pay for it. If they can't, then we will step in and do our job.
Okay. And is there a rating system available?
Yes, there's a user rating system for each listing and for each user.
Awesome. Thanks.
Thanks, Bethany. Kyle, I might get you to unmute and I'll throw to you around your question.
Yeah, so it's kind of along the same lines that Bethany had. The thought was that from the sounds of it, it sounds like if I wanted to, I could go out and purchase a whole bunch of items, start listing them totally for free, be under your insurance, and basically just rake in money. I'm not even sure how this would impact for like tax purposes and stuff. So I'm going to be potentially not needing to report this as income for tax purposes. I don't have to pay for my own insurance as a renter, or as a lender rather, and it puts a lot of the pressure on you or the platform itself to actually kind of protect the borrower in that instance. And it feels like a really kind of there's a lot of potential abuse cases there for people to kind of work around the things that should be in place for borrowers to kind of have a safety net, and it kind of puts all the pressure on you to make sure that's that people aren't being like taken advantage of in that case.
Yeah, I haven't really thought about that. That's a good point. Yeah, for people trying to abuse the system, we always monitor our website and make sure all listings are like correct and valid. But I don't think we won't allow people to list their items for free. This definitely has to be at a cost. Yeah.
Does that mean
This is a good point. Thank you.
Does that mean there could be like a maximum number of listings one person could have at a time
Yes,
to kind of reduce that down?
So yeah, that really depends on our listing packages. So for our free listings, we allow 2 per user. And
Okay.
if you purchase another listing package, it's up to 6 listings per user.
Right, so you can purchase to have the ability to list more.
List more, yes.
Understood.
Thanks, Kyle. Which kind of segues into Ben's question around the MVP and the listings. Ben, do you want to unmute and
Yeah.
us?
Actually, I think since I've asked the question, it's been covered in a way. I mean, my mind was around not only how you would go about, well, in a general sense, how you would attack this problem, but also deal with some of these possible abuse cases, and how you would sort of what your strategy was for building the platform and what's more important and what could come second. You've already answered some of these questions during the previous conversations. But I guess my question was, do you have a strategy for how you would go about building the various features in the system and in what order? Or is that still something you're trying to kind of figure out?
Yeah, right now I'm trying to figure out all these systems that I'm trying to put in place. So yeah, currently in development. So yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So something that you're still sort of hashing around in your head?
Yes,
Yeah.
right now.
Okay. That's fair enough.
Thanks, Ben. Tracy, I might get you to ask this one.
Hi, yes. One was about late fees on late returns. David, you may have addressed that. I mean, I guess all this will come into the actual rental agreement. But I was also concerned about privacy issues. So is it that both parties only communicate via your platform? Is that going to be a stipulation?
They can communicate through our platform and they can communicate through email. It's up to the user how they want to communicate. You can either give them your number or whatever you feel is safe for you.
Okay. So in your terms and conditions, though, will you stipulate or advise the best methods?
I'm currently working through my terms of service at the moment.
Right. Okay.
Yes. We would recommend to decide your communication with each other, but we would prefer that communication be through the website, so we have a log of what's happening.
Yes.
So nothing happens behind our back, just in case something goes wrong.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, David.
Thanks, Tracy. I had to smile when I saw that first question come through about late fees, spoken like a true librarian.
Very librarian-like.
You couldn't help yourself. Thank you. Brian, I might get you to unmute and ask your question as well.
Yes, I was just thinking that it might benefit you right now to maybe target down or niche down on different types of people or different groups of people right now. Specifically, I know that there's probably a lot of tradies who have specialized equipment who are really looking to promote and get out there with that stuff, and it could benefit them to be the first ones on the platform as well. I myself was actually in researching your company. I tried to sign up for your website earlier. I saw maybe it's not active yet.
It is active. Yeah.
Okay.
It's
yeah,
lendme.com.au. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll try to go back again.
Yeah,
but I have some specialized audio equipment I've been trying to rent out,
Mhm.
and that immediately sparked my interest because right now would be perfect to be able to just go drop that off at someone's house, wait outside for a little while and pick it up again. And I was also thinking I would be happy to organize my own agreement with them as well, as far as coverage and so that might be something to look into, niching down and then letting people decide what they want to do with as far as agreement on coverage.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point.
It's a really good point.
Thanks for
Brian. Because I think that's one of the things I mentioned to David previously around the current environment, the whole working from home scenario as well. So this is a really good time from a home office point of view, home rentals. People are also looking at things that are just lying around at home. Since they're at home now, they're seeing all the stuff that is what you call waste, David.
Waste.
Definitely a good time, and that's a positive out of this whole COVID-19 thing, is that a lot of people are at home and they're looking at how to ways to make extra money and get rid of all the stuff that's been in storage for a while. So okay, so there's no questions on the floor. Maybe I'll just open it up generally to the floor then. Who's got a question for David?
David, have you looked, there's quite a lot of online community groups at the minute, like Facebook groups for certain areas. Have you looked into those kind of groups and how they might help this kind of business?
Yes, I've looked into it, but I haven't really contacted them yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they just seem to be achieving something quite well at the minute, especially, in my area where they live, there's lots of action going on there, people posting, and people are starting to ask to borrow things through that platform as well. So yeah, I'm not sure how it would work, but yeah, something to sort of just keep an eye on those sort of community groups and how you might work with them.
Yeah, that'll be a good thing to do. Yeah.
Thanks, Mel. Bethany, do you want to ask your question then? Oh, sorry, it's not a question.
Yeah, no, I don't really have a question.
Just so everyone knows. Sorry, I just saw that pop up. All good.
Yeah, I joined lendme yesterday,
okay.
and it's working. And this is the first time that I've actually been interested in all the presentations as a consumer myself. So that's really exciting for me. And I think, especially now with all the Facebook groups, there's all the Buy Nothing Facebook groups, which are running really well. But I know some people are scared to lend things out because they won't return. So I think your platform could go quite far using Facebook as well. Yeah, that was all.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Appreciate it.
It's good validation. And even Ben's given some extra validation for you too. David, he's joined up, said it was simple and easy.
Yep.
Yeah, just then.
Awesome. 2 extra users.
Yeah.
I've got a question around your team, David. Obviously, with entrepreneurs, especially solo entrepreneurs, it's very tough, very hard. So you need a team. I know you said you're looking for a developer, but where else do you need help from a team point of view? Where's your gaps?
I think most importantly, I don't really have good business knowledge. I don't know much about finance and tax. So I was hoping to find some expertise in those areas. Just mainly web development is the thing I'm really focusing on at the moment.
Yeah, that's your major gap. And then of course some help with some of the finances.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's something we're working on with Launchpad as well as some masterclasses around helping our entrepreneurs with those certain topics. So stay tuned for that. Okay, so anyone else got any questions? Otherwise, we might just wrap it up. Anyone else? Yep, Brian.
David, are you part of the Facebook group for the Launchpad?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
You should definitely join. I'll pay you. We'll pay you later, Brian, for that plug.
Yeah, no problem. If anyone else isn't, go ahead and join up now.
Oh, I should.
Thanks.
I think I'm
Yeah.
only on LinkedIn.
Uh,
Oh, I'm missing something.
So all students who are interested in just sort of sharing ideas, collaborating, just find interesting posts that might help each other. And as Jeremy said, we're looking into doing some training sessions and delivering some more online events, aren't we, Jeremy? So yeah, just get involved. We'd love to see you there.
Yep. Okay. I take it no one else has got any questions, so we might just do again unmute and do a virtual round of applause. Thank you very much, David.
Thank you. Thanks, Mel, Jeremy, David, and all.
Thanks, Tracy.
Thank you everyone for coming. Oh, sorry, shall I wrap up, Jeremy? Or
Yes.
I was just going to say, I've just printed, just in case anybody doesn't know how to contact us. Am I going to be able to get this up now? Oh, what's happened there? Okay, well, we're on Instagram now. I can't work out how to get my screen up. So yeah, we've got a Launchpad Instagram page. We've got our Launchpad Facebook community group, and our next startup meeting is going to be the 29th of April. I think we said, didn't we, Jeremy? So we'd love to see you there. So please keep in touch with us. We'll put posts on Instagram, keep everyone updated. And yeah, thanks everyone for coming, really. And we hope you'll join us again. Thank you to our presenters, and thank you to Jeremy for your facilitation.
No problems at all. Thank you all. We kept it under an hour as well, which is the aim.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We'll see you next month.
Yeah. Nice to meet you all.
Thank you. Definitely.
See you later, everybody.
You guys.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Bye now.